You are Locked On Bulls Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Chicago on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Bulls Postcast here on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Joe George here with you as always after every single Bulls game on the year. We're here with you hanging out, talking Bulls basketball, the good, the bad, and a lot of ugly as the Bulls are now on a 5-game losing streak, lose 113-102 to the Portland Trailblazers. Bad game for the Bulls tonight. They're completely unraveling in this losing streak. They're playing their worst basketball of the season by far. It's time to blow it up. We're going to address that here on the show. I'm over it. I'm done with it. It's official who the Bulls are. We know it, so it's time to completely change everything that this team is doing. And because of the way the season's going, we're going to wrap up each show now going forward with the best and worst moments of the game. Feel like more often than not, they're going to be the worst moments, but we'll get into that as well on today's show. Today's episode is sponsored by Prizepicks. Now it's the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prizepicks, run your game. So the Bulls game, look, they start great. They scored 34 points in the first quarter. They're up, 34-22. They look like the message has been sent after the last game. Like maybe they're figuring things out. Patrick Williams comes out, has 7 points in the first 90 seconds. He didn't score again until there was 4 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. So he, after nearly being benched, right? Like he should have been benched in this game. And this is part of the reason why I'm kind of over like what's been happening. I hate the rationale behind Billy Donovan starting Patrick Williams in this game. He's not happy with the rebounding effort. He needs more from Patrick Williams offensively, defensively, on the boards, all of it. He's starting only because of the size mismatch that the Trailblazers bring, that the Bulls need another big out there. I get it. You do. Math. I get math. I get size. I can see who's tall on the court and say you need 2 tall guys out there. Then start Jalen Smith. Have Patrick Williams come off the bench. Like if you want to send a message, send a message. Instead, you're sending a message without actually doing anything. You're just saying, yeah, it's not good enough, but we're still going to put you in the starting lineup. And they're going to do other things in this game which are interesting where, Julian Phillips doesn't check in until there's 3.5 minutes left to go in the third quarter. Did not play. Coach's decision. Most of this game. But to say before the game that Patrick Williams is not playing good enough basketball for you, and just to start him anyways because you have to, when you have Jalen Smith on the team, I know you don't have Torrey Craig right now, but is that what the answer is? Is if Torrey Craig was healthy, he would have started tonight? Well, start Modest then. I don't care. You're playing the Portland Trailblazers who are on a 5-game losing streak. If you don't want to play a guy because of the way he's playing, you're upset with the way he's playing, don't start him out there. But Patrick Williams is involved right away. 7 points, first 90 seconds. He's getting after the boards. He's involved in the offense, right? He is part of it. But so it looks like something clicked. But then he just vanishes again. And the Bulls did have a very good first quarter in this game. 34-22. They're shooting 63.6% from the field, 207 from the three-point line. So that's not great, obviously, but it could be way worse. They're reasonable with the amount of threes they're taking. They're attacking in the paint, and they've got a good lead. And then they're terrible the rest of the basketball game. I mean, they only scored 43 points the next 2 quarters after scoring 34. They didn't score more than 25 points in a quarter the rest of the game. They scored 19, 24, and 25. So the offense completely vanished. And where I think it's clear the Bulls are unraveling is this reminded me of last year. And they mentioned it on the broadcast where when DeMar DeRozan was on the team, he's a great ISO basketball player. So there's going to be a lot of ISO. There's not going to be a lot of assists. LaVine's going to kind of trickle down effect. It's going to go to him. But that's what the Bulls did tonight. They didn't pass the ball well. They're their lowest assist total on the season. So they're not passing the ball. When they do pass it, they make weird decisions. Like Patrick Williams, at one point in this game, one of the most baffling things I've seen, he has a wide open 3. Instead of just taking it, he makes the extra pass, which sometimes, right decision. It's the wrong decision when it's a terrible pass and it goes to Josh Giddey, who only ended up with, let's see if he took 1 garbage time shot, just to make sure I get the stats here right. 2 shots on the night for Josh Giddey. No Lonzo Ball, your starting point guard has 2 shots on the entire night. What is the strategy, the plan? But they just completely unraveled in this game. They're up 15 points, and they end up losing by a good margin against the Blazers in this game where, to come in like this. This feels like, I said this on the last postcast show. If you caught it, if you didn't, thanks for checking us out this time. Hit that subscribe button. The last game felt like the tipping point of the season. And this game was going to be for sure the direction that it went. And it tipped in the real wrong direction. And it felt like we all kind of knew it. Like, if you've ever been to like a water park as a kid, like, you fill up the bucket of water, and the more water that goes in, eventually you get the big air horn and the water falls, like at the Kalahari, at the Wisconsin Dells. Like, that's what it felt like this season was like the giant water bucket just like flipped over, and this was the end of the bowl season here officially before. And we're going to talk about blowing it up because it's time. And we're going to talk about the worst moments of this game. But even though they're terrible in the second quarter, it's still tied, right? It's 53-53. But this is where you can tell the Bulls where, Stacey King was talking about this on the broadcast, where it's like the first quarter, they're attacking the paint. It's working well for them. They've taken 7 threes. They're 2 for 7. They end the first half 3 for 18 from the three-point line. So they go 1 for 11 in the second quarter. So again, something we've seen all season long, where even though like something's working, they go away from it. And when something's going very poorly, they don't ever just like breathe, take a second, say, hey, we can't shoot the basketball tonight. Let's keep going inside. Let's go back to Patrick Williams. Let's go back to Vooch. Let's go to LaVine attacking, or Kobe White, or Josh Giddey attacking. Like I said, 2 shots on the night. It's crazy for your starting point guard to have. But they completely just go away with what's working for them. And then very quickly into the third quarter, they're down 7. And then we see some giant runs happen. Even the Bulls, like they got it back to 75-75 after being down by, I think it was 6 points. You had a great 3 from LaVine that made a 2-point game. Blazers score. Io hits a corner 3 to tie it at 75. And then the Blazers go on a 12-2 run to run out the end of the third quarter. So it's 87-77 after being tied 75-75. And then again, right away in the fourth quarter, where it's like, okay, are the Bulls going to find a way? A team that we've obviously seen multiple times come back from big deficits this season. Or do they have one more left in them? Portland right away goes on an 8-0 run, and the Bulls are all of a sudden, they're down 15. And look, in the fourth quarter, they went 4 minutes and 44 seconds without scoring. I mean, that's brutal. Like, that's any version of a basketball team. I mean, a version of no LaVine and Vooch, or the Blazers on their worst night, which, like, they've had so many, of these games where they've been losing by 20 points. They got killed by the Rockets last night. But to go 4 minutes and 44 seconds without a basket in a game in which you're trying to win, like you're not officially tanking just yet, that's what's crazy about the Bulls. It's just like there are teams that are tanking, and it's so clear, and like they don't have a good roster. Like the Bulls, like they will trade players that will be impactful to other teams. Might not lead to anything for those teams, but like if Vooch is a warrior, he's going to make an impact. If, the LaVine Denver thing, comes back, LaVine will have valuable minutes, a lot of them obviously for Denver, but the Bulls just to have a 12-0 run, an 8-0 run, it's just bad basketball and really some of the worst basketball again we've seen for the Bulls. This stretch is brutal, and it shows it's even more clear like where the Bulls are headed, where they need to go, why you have to make tough decisions, and part of that will be the front office making decisions of even like trading guys who maybe you're not getting the value in the trades of return that you want, but you have to trade them to move forward as a franchise, because you're not really stuck in the middle of like the good middle. Like you're not a play-in team, first round team that's losing in tough 6-7 game series. You're a team that's on the cusp of being the 10 seed, the 11 seed, the 12 seed, and so you're at the very bottom of the play-in, and it's just time. Again, we've all known this, but the Bulls kind of teased us, I felt like, this season with some of the games they had, some of the good wins that they've had this year, beating good basketball teams, but they just continue to play poorly against the worst teams in the NBA, and it makes no logical sense. Comment here in the chat, blow it up. This team is already blowing up. No coach. All the good players are gone that they got rid of, but are gone. They've got rid of the players they need to keep. It's been over for this team. Yeah, it has been over for this team. Probably rightfully so. I don't necessarily, I guess DeMar DeRozan is the player you let go, but not like he's a building block for this team. But the good players that they got left, I think it's time just to get them out of here. And we'll discuss that next because it's officially time to blow it up. Look, we are, 20 some days? I'm guessing 25 days at this point from the trade deadline. So it's right around the corner. So if you weren't there yet as a fan, if I'm one of the last people that was like fully ready to blow this thing up, and it's more about I just don't think the Bulls are going to do it correctly, which is why I was always a little hesitant to it. But now I'm over it. It's time just to, light that match, hit the cannon, and just let's get this moving into the next direction of the Bulls. We'll hit into that next year on the Locked On Bulls postcast on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel. Basketball season is heating up, and there's no better way to get real money action with watching your favorite NBA stars than with Prizepicks. Whether you're a diehard fan or just love some friendly competition, Prizepicks makes it fun and easy to turn your basketball knowledge into cash. Here's how it works. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Think LeBron's going to drop 30 points, or maybe Luka's getting more than 8 assists. Prizepicks lets you make your predictions and put your money where your mouth is in just 60 seconds. I've been using Prizepicks all year. A lot of times I have because, look, we talk about the Bulls every single day. A lot of it's been Vooch. A lot of it's been LaVine, especially with Vooch continuing to put these double-doubles, just depending on where it's at for him, points and rebounds-wise. I'm going more or less a lot of times with LaVine and Vooch just because it's what we know the most is the Chicago Bulls right now. Now is the perfect time to join. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. That's right. No need to win to get the bonus. It's guaranteed. Prizepicks, run your game. So if you weren't there yet, and I think we all have been, throughout this season, going into this season, I was pro trade everybody and start from scratch. Obviously, they didn't do that. So throughout this season, my personal thought process was well, let's see how it goes. They're obviously going to give this thing one more shot, one more run to see what they can do. You've got wins against the Celtics, the Bucks. You've got these 20-point comebacks, 18-point comebacks on the season. But now you're on a 5-game losing streak as you get closer to the deadline. So what makes it easy for the front office is the Bulls players are telling you exactly what you have to do. That they're telling you that this run is over. This iteration of the Bulls needs to completely come to a close. And just watching that game tonight made me just realize it even more so than we already knew. But to have a move in which you trade for Josh Giddey and he's taking 2 shots, to have, Patrick Williams, who you gave a contract to, who's nearly benched, scores 7 points in the first 90 seconds and then goes MIA the rest of the game. To see Nikola Vucevic still have good performances, night in and night out for the second time in 2 weeks, is kicking the desk of where Stacey King and Adam Amin are broadcasting because he's so pissed about what's happening. Maybe the only guy, it feels like real emotion or anger right now for the Bulls. I'm sure a lot of them are upset, but he's showing it on a daily basis, it feels like, for what's happening on the court for the Bulls. It's just time. And I think for me, when I look at this game tonight and I'm thinking about, okay, not about what you can get, but who you should trade away, it's LaVine, it's Vooch, and then if you can get anything for Patrick Williams, again, I will reference back to the Billy Donovan stuff before the game again. Just looking at this team and saying, we need more rebounding, we need new offense, we need more defense from Patrick Williams, but we're going to start him just because the Trailblazers are tall. I think it's just really lame coaching, to be honest, and it doesn't send, I think, the right message to guys like Modest Buzelis and Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips and even Kobe White, who are the young guys who are not being traded, obviously, of just, yeah, you can screw up, but you can not play good basketball. But if we're playing a team that has a good matchup for you, you're still going to be part of the lineup. It's just the way we're going to operate. And again, I don't really understand what Billy Donovan's doing on a night-in, night-out basis. Last game, Modest Buzelis plays 4 minutes. This game, he plays way more. I don't know what you can see from a player in 4 minutes of basketball 2 nights ago, and then all of a sudden the next game, yeah, he's going to play a ton. Julian Phillips, I get why he's not out there a ton. I feel like he's got a lot of work to do for what he can be for this team. So this game, this stretch, it's just bad basketball. And it's just so clear, crystal clear what they need to do. And, I think a lot of us watching these games as fans is just wondering, what will they actually do? Are they going to be like stingy with their decisions? Are they going to say, we will only trade LaVine if we get this X amount of value, whether it's draft picks, player in return? Like, I still kind of hate the idea of Michael Porter Jr. If they revisit that Denver trade that nearly was earlier this season, feel like that just keeps you going in a circle, in a very bad circle with this team. If you're going to trade Vooch, like, what are they going to set a certain line and then just not move off of it? And if I was the front office and wanting to keep my job, which I think goes into this, then I would say, no, I'm just going to trade them. And I think, too, with Billy Donovan and with the front office, but specifically with Billy, I think it is time for this new era of Bulls basketball to also be ushered in by a new coach. I think a lot of us feel that way, too. I don't know many people that are, like, super pro Billy Donovan at this point, but I think, like, everything that happens in a game like tonight versus Portland, where you're on a 4-game losing streak, they're on a 5-game losing streak, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA, for sure, no doubt about it. You supposedly are like a middling team. To have these levels of performances year after year after year, where you perform so poorly against the bottom of the NBA. We saw this, that 2-game stretch with Washington and Charlotte, where you're losing to Washington, you're going to overtime with Charlotte, just lost to Charlotte again this time. So, like, that's a reflection of the coach. It's not just the players. The players are a huge part of it, but it's a reflection of just, like, everything from, Reinsdorf to Dalen Terry and Julian Phillips, like Taylor Horton Tucker, like from the very top of the organization to the very bottom and everything that's in between. Performances like this are just like a reflection of who you are, what you're about, your culture. Kind of hate that word personally, but like the Bulls culture is bad. Their Bulls culture is playing down to competition on a night in and night out basis. So I doubt they do this because we know how the Reinsdorfs kind of are in terms of their money. I don't think they'll fire Billy Donovan midseason, but I will be honest. I think these games, I think we would get a lot more out of them, the rest of the season when you think about the future of the Chicago Bulls if there was a different head coach this year and a different team just filled with youthful basketball players that, like, don't know any better, like Portland tonight. Like, they don't know any better. Like, they've been losing by 20 points every game at home, basically, like the last month this season. And so, like, just that youthfulness is just kind of what I've been there, but now I'm just very, very, very ready for that era to get underway for the Chicago Bulls. I guess we'll wait and see. I like most, probably don't have my hopes up that they will actually do this. I think the worst thing for all of us as Bulls fans would be the idea of coming out of the trade deadline and the roster being then what it is today. And that would be a tough sell for your fans when I think it's like 50% of Chicago still can't even watch Bulls games right now, depending on your service provider. I believe that's still happening. If you're listening for the first time, I live in Houston. I'm from Chicago, originally. Obviously, I'm a suffering Bulls fan like you, but I live in Houston, so I use League Pass to watch my games. Which is a whole other experience, and I've never been there before. But yeah, it's bad vibes for the Bulls right now. To have a game like this, it just sucks. It's not fun. There's no superstar prospect in the building. Like, I like Modest Buzelis still, but I need more from what we saw from him tonight. Like, he had a couple good stretches in this game that we're going to hit on in our final segment of the show, because we're going to wrap these shows up going forward like this. Best and worst moments of the game. We'll try to find at least one positive moment from every single basketball game, even though it feels like watching this team, there's not a lot of them. So a lot of it might be Buzelis, Terry, Phillips, Kobe White moments, these young guys who were on the team. Even Kobe White's not that young anymore in terms of like how long he's been in the league, but we're going to try to do that at the end of the show. And we're going to talk about the bad stuff too, because there's a lot of bad that happened in this game. Very specifically, we'll get into the next year on the Locked On Bulls postcast on the Locked On Sports Chicago YouTube channel.
From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need to place live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. I've told you guys before, What FanDuel gives you guys is it give you access to all the latest play-by-play, stats, analysis, everything, so you can make an informed bet on the same page where you place your bets. It just gives you a little leg up to make quicker and smarter bets and get that money that FanDuel is trying to give you. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's FanDuel.com. Make the playoff this season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
All right, 9 games left to go before the NBA trade deadline, and now we look at the best and worst moments from this Bulls game tonight as they lost to the Portland Trailblazers 113-102 and are on a 5-game losing streak and move to 18-25 on this season. Best moments. We're going to focus on Modest Buzelis in this game because I do not care about Patrick Williams' 7 points in 90 seconds since he didn't score again until the fourth quarter, didn't have a rebound again until the third quarter of the game. He went full-on milk carton during this game. So, best moments of this game. You have the driving floater off the backboard from Modest Buzelis. 2 possessions later, he has a great move where he cuts to the basket, gets to the free throw line, makes his free throws in that moment. So, another positive there. And he has the corner 3 later in the game. I believe it was in the third quarter, where it was just the offense is flowing well. He's open on a night where the Bulls don't have a ton of assists. They get one to Modest. He gets the 3. Nice to see that happen. So that's the only really like super positive moment, I would say. And they're not even that positive, but they're the best moments. Now for the worst moments of this game tonight for the Chicago Bulls. We will go back to Patrick Williams just really quickly because I've already said it twice. The plan for Patrick Williams, saying all that stuff Billy Donovan did, and then playing him. But then for him to have 7 points in the first 90 seconds and to not use him again, and he's not even really taking shots in the game either, is still baffling to me. Josh Giddey only taking 2 shots in this game doesn't make a lot of sense. But I think by far the absolute worst moment of this game was in the second quarter, where as the Bulls' 15-point lead is quickly evaporating, we see one of the single worst possessions of the entire season for the Chicago Bulls. Kobe White and Zach LaVine are just dribbling the basketball at the top of the key. They're kind of going back and forth around the three-point line, a little bit of pass back and forth. They just keep dribbling and dribbling and dribbling. And then the shot clock goes off. And the shot goes up very clearly after the shot clock violation is hit. One of the single worst possessions we've seen this entire year for the Chicago Bulls. And there's been a lot of bad ones. But to, at least in terms of like half-court offense, to just have 2 of your best players in that moment to just dribble it out unintentionally, watching the clock as we're all watching it, as Stacey King and Adam Amin are yelling at them to get a shot up, and they just watch the buzzer go off where they finally jack up a shot. It obviously does not go in. That is, to me, the worst moment of this game. The other moment is really more moments that I would say. This is more a LaVine and Billy Donovan thing, but the Trailblazers kept trapping Zach LaVine like in the corner, like right as he got across the half court line. And they just there are a lot of moments this year where this has happened to the Bulls where like the team they're playing will throw out a wrinkle that they're totally and woefully unprepared for. And not only are they unprepared for it in the moment, they don't know how to get out of it. And we saw like the ball would just kind of stall out and they really would have no idea what to do. We saw one moment in this game where it got swung to Vooch, then to Kobe White. Vooch cut right to the basket, past DeAndre Ayton, and he got up and got the layup. So that was a nice one. But for the most part, every time they trapped LaVine, as he crossed half court, it just felt like they're kind of lost in and not even him. It's more the other 4 guys on the court are really it's like they're unclear of where to go and how to help Zach LaVine out of this situation where he's being trapped, and then for it to happen, 4 or 5 times, and it looks painfully the same every single time. Just bad coaching, bad everything in those moments for all the traps that were happening. So this was not a fun Bulls game. The first quarter was awesome. It was a great time. It was a great time taking notes, as I do for every single game as it's happening, about what was going on with Patrick Williams and this team. And then it went downhill super fast. The remainder of the game. So that's it for this episode of the Locked On Bulls Postcast. Sorry it's so negative. I wish we had good things to talk about. Just our heads up, because of the Bulls' schedule change, we will not have a postcast show on Monday night as they move the Clippers game if you missed it. The Clippers game that was scheduled for Tuesday is now on Monday. We will not have a postcast show for that one because we also do Notre Dame football games. So we will be either about to begin or we'll be starting or in the middle of our hour-long postcast show as the Bulls game wraps up because the Bulls game starts at 9:30, so I'm expecting to go on the air probably about 10 o'clock, 10:15. So if you're a Notre Dame fan, come hang out with us. Hopefully we're watching and talking about a national championship game. So thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe if you're listening on audio. I appreciate you as always. Come on over to YouTube, hit that subscribe. The videos are always there and our audio, if you're watching on YouTube later on, is always available on the Locked On Bulls audio feeds. So wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Apple, Spotify, whatever, you can find Locked On Bulls. They're doing great stuff every day about the Bulls, the future of this team, the trade deadline, only 9 games away from that happening. So definitely an absolute must listen if you are a Chicago Bulls fan. So thanks for hanging out with us. My name's Joe George. We will talk to you after the next Bulls game. And if you're a Notre Dame fan, after Notre Dame hopefully wins a national championship and taking on Ohio State. So for now, that will do it for us. And we will talk to you next time. Peace.